Good afternoon to everybody. My name is Patrick Pradel, and I'm the project lead for the Design for IAM network. And it's with a great pleasure that I am welcoming you today to this event organized by the network and run and planned by our key research team leader, Robert Iham. I leave the floor to Robert. This is very, very short introduction. He has a fantastic agenda, and it's wonderful to see all of you joining us today for the session. Well, I leave the stage to Robert for kicking off the event.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And yeah, warm welcome everybody. Thank you for dialing in today. It's quite an honour to have the floor for this event. Hopefully, my welcome screen has popped up and we're ready to go. I will make a start if unless someone shouts that there's a problem on the share front. So welcome and like I said, thank you all for spending some time with us today and hopefully tomorrow too. I'm Rob Hyam. My background is aerospace qualifications in metal AM, and I've spent the last 5 years at the University of Bolton. The last 12 months of that, we've been crafting together for this thing called the Centre for Advanced Manufacturing, which we'll talk a little bit about shortly. I tried to create a bumper edition, I guess, and pulled in some industrial partners, friends, collaborators, and hopefully future collaborators. And the theme really is to try and get us all talking openly about shared problems between research and academia. So on that, we have an agenda, which I will do my utmost to stick to time-wise, though we're a little bit late setting off, but I can hopefully catch up a little bit early doors. So today we'll have a little bit of an intro into the Centre for Advanced Manufacturing at the University of Bolton before I hand over to Juan Scott, who's certainly here, who will talk a little bit about 3MF formats. Then we have a live session where we're trying to get people talking and trying to get a feel for who's doing what and with whom, before we then welcome a couple more speakers. We have Jimmy Campbell from Plastometrex, who will come and talk about indentation plastometry. I'll do a little bit of an overview on some preliminary research, I would say, we're doing in terms of validating performance of metal parts, looking at adding value. Hopefully at that point we'll then have time for a short break before we then hand over to John Barnes, who's going to talk about a relatively novel and intriguing method of producing powders. There will be time for questions. Hopefully myself and the other speakers managed to keep within the time frames set so that we do have time for questioning. Otherwise, please do feel free to comment away in the chat, and we will try and make sure we get back to everyone and address as quickly and smoothly as we can. So I will make a start. So who are the Centre for Advanced Manufacturing? We are a startup. We're in the early stages of recruitment to try and create an organisation which allow us to instigate some change, I'd say, in the UK landscape with AM, but we've called it advanced manufacturing because there's also a need for design simulation, etc., in there. Our mission is quite simple. What we want to try and do is support the uptake and validation of emerging and future technology industrially and academically, and we want to bring that fusion together. If we get that right, that will give us a strong understanding of this reasoning to be something that we can actually fulfill. So our advanced manufacturing strategy started from an analysis of the UKRI strategy, as well as then locally the Greater Manchester Industrial and Skills Sports strategies. But even taking inspiration from what's going over the shores in the US with AM Forward and the dictatorship, I guess, of what large industry should do, which is really quite interesting. But across all of these different strategies and different thoughts and processes, there was some obvious gaps. There was confidence in additive is one of them. People, and where are the people coming from? How do we support AM in the masses? That's the true industrialization goal that we all want to get to as AM evangelists or supporters. Finally, then we need to have an industrial diversification, because just because you make products for defense doesn't mean you couldn't make biomedical devices. COVID has maybe given us a bit of an idea about how that's possible. And finally, we will all benefit from international collaboration. So those gaps really supported the development of our strategy. And if we get this right, that will allow us, we hope and we envisage, to be able to increase the confidence in the technology and the people, the competence in the future generations of people, provide accessibility, awareness, and finally, we should be able to boost the collaboration opportunities available to us. Bolton, for those who do know it or maybe don't know it, is actually a really interesting position. So we are at the core of quite an interesting supply of additive-based need and also additive-based companies, I guess, in the greater, the primes as well as in the greater process chain. We're able to then be at the bit of a heart of a local hub in the northwest of England, and that gives us greater reasoning to then create this centre, which allows us to then springboard technology into SMEs and also support the primes. And if we could build on an international network and the connections, a lot of you showed great support to Dan today, so hopefully we can all become future collaborators and connections. It would allow us to have a regional, national and international impact. How are we going to do it? So if we can work internationally, we can focus on knowledge exchange, and what we're trying to do is address technological gaps. Those gaps are only at the forefront of our minds when we talk about them, when we exchange that knowledge, and then we want to be able to support the creation and development of talent. That's where we come in as a university in particular. So what we'll do is we'll initially fall on 3 pillars. So there's a design and simulation element underpinning all advanced manufacturing. Additive manufacturing, or the focus of today, is key here. And finally, then we are going to do a lot more work in composites and natural fibers. Obviously, today the focus is really on the additive manufacturing aspect. So if we look at the general role in creation of products in most forms of manufacturing, there is some design and simulation, some feedstock creation, measurement and monitoring of that feedstock before we process, post-process and validate our products. And what we're trying to say here is the role within the Centre for Advanced Manufacturing is to look at supporting companies and supporting the validation or knowledge in all of the fields beyond feedstock creation that's deemed to be out of scope at current form. So jumping in a little bit into some of the specifics that we have, feedstock measurement, we are using the GranuTools equipment. We'll give a small overview of some of the data out of that shortly. Processing, we have an exact metal machine, another one imminently on order. We have a desktop metal system, Stratasys for polymers, EOS for polymers, and a metals machine. And the TBC is, we're looking at a DED purchase relatively soon, I would say, but we're still going through some final selection process in that area. Post-processing, we have CNC water cutting, and we're also looking at hertization, CT scanning in particular, and some of those external process or non-destructive testing mechanisms. Finally, then the validation, we have CMM, laser scanning, static and dynamic test capability, and one of the images on the screen is the plastometer, which Jimmy Campbell will talk in more detail, and we'll show some of the data out of that in an hour or so's time. So for those of you who are aware of UK university infrastructures, this won't come as too much of a surprise, but for those who aren't, most UK universities are held to the TEF, the KEF and the REF, the Teaching Excellence Framework, the Knowledge Exchange Framework and the Research Excellence Framework. But also I think universities, in particular in the old days, the old polytechnic approach, there's quite a lot of regional support that's expected of universities. We're not different here in the slightest. So for us, our role in these areas is to try and use our equipment and expertise to generate revenue. We want to co-author papers with industrial partners and support our other internal university functions in their learning and application of real project-based experiences. We could, of course, build our REF capacity by having a centre which allows us to go forward and look for funding opportunities to build relevant research of a high standard. there is absolutely, most certainly, a support for regional organisations, whether that's growth in their innovation journey or whether that's just adding a touch point for them to use as an incubation space or to run from ideas from. But also, it is always strong marketing to make sure universities talk about their commitment to regional development. And Bolton is, many parts of the north of England are under quite a lot of scrutiny for the Northern Powerhouse and the future developments in those regions. And finally, one of the things that we're looking to add is a pedagogically unique MSc, which will allow us to provide an opportunity for students to build knowledge, experience, and skills in the field of advanced manufacturing. But in this case, it's about developing them as professional engineers and not just teaching them from whiteboards and smart screens. So how will people engage with us? Well, in all of those fields, for knowledge exchange, industry co-authored papers, shared projects, shared ideas, supporting some of the TEF agenda with our MSc projects, and then also using us to help hopefully acquire and locate local or national funding. I think I'm back. I don't know what happened then. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah,
I can hear you
good.
well, Robert.
Okay, is the screen still sharing? Sorry, it's just completely kicked me out and rebooted me.
Yeah, I can see your screen well.
I can't see it.
Okay, I don't know what happened. It's this Teams. It's this Teams curse. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. I always have a Teams curse and knew it was going to happen. So engagement can come via our ref as well. So in terms of if there's other universities or large organizations, small organizations who want to instigate collaborative funding opportunities, bid writing support, etc., then of course that's what we're here to do. In terms of regional support, we expect to have interest, I guess, in accessing some of our capability. And to do that, we've created quite aggressive cost models, I think it's fair to say, to allow us to allow innovation to win. If the technology wins, we all will benefit. So our cost models are trying to promote the use of technology rather than ignoring it and assuming it's expensive. We have an open door policy. We want people to come and see us, talk to us, have a look. We have IWIN-Kind models which are available so that we can exchange offer of technological access and support with student placements, etc., to try and be this regional university hub. And hopefully in that regional university hub, I may be able to act as in a way to bring people in, I guess, and collaborate with local universities. We've got some very, very good universities in the Northwest, and we can try and bring them together with industry at the forefront of that. Finally, then, in terms of the TEF, apprenticeships, short courses, special development planning, and then this MSc that I mentioned just before. So that is an intro to the CFAM. I expected to have at least one gremlin, and we had that early doors, so hopefully that has come through relatively cleanly. And in the interest of time, what I'd like to do is hand straight over to Duan if possible,